Okay, so here we are going to look at the next in our rules involving our triangles, and we're going to look at the cosine rule. Okay, so our next trig formula that we've got is this thing here in the purple box. Okay, and we've called it the cosine rule for finding a side because it helps us find the side and it uses the cosine function. Sometimes our creativity in maths knows no bounds. But that's the formula that we're going to use. This thing here in the purple box is given to you on the formula sheet. Okay, so you don't have to remember it, but you do have to know how to apply it. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and answer a couple of these triangles and see where the bits of things go into the formula. How does it work out? So first example, I've got a triangle. I've got one side 25 centimeters. I've got another side 15 centimeters. The angle in between them is 25 degrees, and I've got an unknown side on the left hand side, and so I want to find out that unknown side. I've also got my triangle labelled, so I know at the vertex where it's marked in 25 degrees, it's labelled A, my top vertex labelled B, and my bottom one labelled C, remembering the vertex being our fancy maths word for corner. And so I need to label the sides as well. So across from where the angle is, it gets lowercase. Across from where the angle is, it's lowercase and lowercase. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my formula. So a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. So it's looking a little bit Pythagoras-y so far, and that is kind of loosely where this comes from. Again, you don't have to prove it, you don't have to work out where it comes from or derive it. At this stage, you simply have to use it. Okay, and one day we'll show you where it comes from. So we're going to do a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times the cosine of the angle at A. Next, we are going to substitute in our numbers. So a squared is the thing I'm looking to find. And so I've got a side at B, so I can do 15 squared plus 25 squared minus 2 times 15 times 25 times the cosine of 25. Okay, and again, when you're writing this out, you can choose up to a certain point whether or not you want to put that number in brackets at your trig function. When you come to do it in your calculator, it will put it in brackets. So, we can need to get used to doing that, but in terms of whether it looks messy or tidy on your page, you do get a little bit of leeway. Once you get a bit further up and we start making it a bit more complex than that, you don't really have a choice. You have to put in some brackets. But just now, when it is just a number, we'll let you away with it a little bit. Okay. Next step, depending on the type of calculator you've got, you may or may not need to include this next step. Okay, your calculator might just manage it fine. What we're going to do is we're going to work it out in 3 parts. And I am essentially going to work out 15 squared, I'm going to work out the 25 squared, and I'm going to work out this bit at the end so that I've got something to write in my formula. So I'm going to have 15 squared, which is 225, plus 25 squared, which is 625, minus, and then we're definitely going to have to turn to our calculator now, and we are going to do 2 times 15 times 25 multiplied by, and we're going to do the cosine of 25, and so we're going to subtract 679.73. If you can get all of that into your calculator in one line, then it's a good idea to do so, because we've had to round this third thing. Okay, so there is a part of it that's missing, and that will ultimately change our answer by a little bit. Okay, so if you can keep it all in your calculator, that will give you a more accurate response. So next line, I'm just going to solve that. So I'm going to do 225 plus 625 minus 679.73, which gives me 170.27. Okay, I'm not done yet. Okay, but a good place to check would be, does that number make sense in my triangle? There's no way if that side's 50 and that's 25, the other one could be 170. And that is because the formula is telling me a squared. And so what I need to do is I need to find a. And so that is going to be the square root of 170.27. And so I ask my calculator, what is that? And it tells me 13 centimeters, 13.048754 or whatever. 13 will do me just here, and that fits in a little bit better with my picture. That looks like a more realistic answer, and that is it. Okay, looking at another example, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the formula. A squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A. And I'm going to write the formula down because I can't really see it on the screen anymore, which is why it's my first step here. If we're coming to answer this question in our test, in our exam, or even just as we're working through them, our first step should be to make sure we've fully labelled the triangle. So what I need to do is I need to find where the letters go for my sides. So I've got angle A here, so that makes that little a, little c, and a little b. And the side I'm looking to find this time is this one over here. Okay, it's the one we've labelled B. And so what we need to do is we're going to need to switch out the letters in our formula. Okay, this form that we've written down here in the screen is the way that we're going to get given it in the formula sheet, but we need to make it fit the triangle we've got, no matter what letters it is it gives us. So the one I'm looking for is I'm looking for side B. So b squared is equal to. And then I've got the other two sides, and so the other two sides fall in next. So we've got a squared plus c squared minus 2 times the other two sides times the cosine of the angle that I'm looking for. Okay, so again, the b side is the side I want now, so my formula is to say b squared is equal to, what were the other two sides squared, added them together, minus 2 times a times c times cosine of the angle that I've got, which is b. Okay, so it still has to follow this same kind of pattern, right? I've swapped out all the same things in all the same places. Okay, we can't just make it up as we go, but we're going to have a bit of time to practice these later on anyway. So now I can substitute in my numbers. So I've got 18 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 18 times 20 times the cosine of 22. And so again, what we're going to look to do is we're going to look to try and take it step at a time. So as we're working through these, we've got 18 squared. So 18 squared is going to give me 324 plus 20 squared is going to give me 400 minus, and then we're going to do 2 times 18 times 20 times the cosine of 22, which is 667.57. Next thing we do, we're going to sort that out, tidy it up. So 324 plus 400, take away 667.57 is 56.43. Okay, again, that's not the answer I want. That's far too big a number to fit in my triangle. And again, I found b squared. I don't want b squared, I just want b. So I need to do the square root of 56.43. And that gives me an answer of 7.5 centimeters. And again, that is a more reasonable number. That's a more realistic answer. It ties in with the numbers we've got there, and it is the answer.